Let's face it, blockchain itself has not been ready for prime time for mass adoption. Is it now?
The bigger the institution, the longer it takes, but the bigger the impact in the end. We wanted to have a unit which has the time, which has the resources to actually run after some big deals.
Can you talk more generally to get our imaginations going on what kind of projects could be on Polkadot?
No, I mean...
The launch team wishes you good luck and Godspeed.
Space Monkeys blasting off with Ingø and Mark from SciTail on a new exciting project we heard a little bit about last time we interviewed Ingø. This is the PoKe BD project, and very lucky to have him with us here today. Guys, welcome to Space Monkeys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, indeed.
Been an interesting journey when we were in Berlin together. Yes, you kind of mentioned this need for a dedicated arm doing business development with government and enterprise. Compelling argument that resonated with a lot of people. And here we are a few months later with a project called PoKe, funded by Decentralized Futures, the Web3
Right.
Foundation Decentralized Futures. So first of all, what's with the name?
It's just an acronym for Polkadot Key Account Unit. So we take the P and O from Polkadot and the K and E from Key.
Yeah.
And then it's PoKe.
Easy.
And it pokes.
Hey guys, like the old Facebook days? when you
Exactly.
poke people? Yeah. Mark, when did you get involved here? What was the idea? What was the process of getting you
All
involved?
right, so Ingø approached me with the idea, and given in light of the decentralization happening at Parity, where they had a business development unit that was being decentralized, I had to really think about it because, our main function is as an investor. And part of what we do as an investor is provide BD for the teams we partner with in the portfolio. And Ingø is one of them. And Ingø himself is absolutely professional, absolutely credible, absolutely well networked. The highest levels in Germany and in Europe especially. So I said, if we're going to do this with anybody, we're happy to do it with Ingø.
That's awesome. And what kind of resources are you bringing to the table?
In my case, I find myself in a lot of conversations with potential targets and with zero capacity to follow up on it, right? Because I can be overwhelmed in any different way in any different week. And so what we do is we bring on board someone to do this full time, to do the BD themselves, but then also to pick up the conversations that I open.
And Ingø, can you touch again or go a little bit deeper on this theory behind approaching government and industry with the Polkadot Tech Stack?
I think it's actually a perfect fit. So we're talking a lot about DeFi, and we're doing a lot of things in DeFi, and we're doing a lot of things in technology, and we're doing really great technology. And I think we also have a lot of like startups, which are now the parachains, which invest heavily manpower in this idea of Polkadot. But Polkadot is actually a very, very good fit for industry because Polkadot has some features that the others don't have. So Polkadot has been regulatory compliant from the beginning. This is a very, very important argument for big companies and for governments to actually work with someone from blockchain. Right? Because blockchain is scary, and if it's regulatory compliant, then it's not that bad. We do have things like Substrate, where you can actually spin up your own private network if you want to do that, like you would do it probably otherwise with Hyperledger. So why would you do it with an end-of-life technology like Hyperledger when you can do it with a state-of-the-art or even future technology like Substrate? And there's lots of these things. So the fit for enterprise and government is actually big. The thing which is frustrating about working with government and enterprises that it always takes forever. And the people who are in the Polkadot ecosystem, they would like to see very often results very quickly. That doesn't work with enterprise and government. You always talk about years when you come with a big. So even if it's only a gaming company, like I don't know how many years you actually worked on this mythical deal. That doesn't work from one day to another, right?
Right.
So the bigger the institution, the longer it takes, but the bigger the impact in the end. We wanted to have a unit which actually does exactly that, which has the time and which has the resources to actually run after some big deals and then get those things done and then hand them over to the ecosystem. So it is important, I think, to say that we are not going to make the projects. We are just facilitating for the ecosystem that they do the project. So we are now collecting pitch decks and we're looking into all the projects which are in the Polkadot ecosystem, and then we try to find out where the fit actually is, and then we're going to bring the people together. And as soon as it's ready for an LOI or an MOU or so, we are off, right? So we are just pushing the people into the right position so that they can start work and be successful.
And we're not starting from scratch here. We already have some leads going that we're just picking up, or?
We have a couple of things going. We are not going to go into details about them.
Yeah, so I have a call in 25 minutes with a company everybody's heard of that's looking for a blockchain partner. And it's fortunate that PoKe was already launched because we're already putting together the resources.
Gotcha.
And so Polkadot as such has not been very active in the GCC and the Middle East. And I've been there for 3 years now. And it's just absolute fertile ground. There's so many things happening. And there are so many attempts that have been tried already and haven't made it because the tech just wasn't good enough. And the ecosystem wasn't good enough. And it sort of rhymes with the experience of Mythical Games, right? That they've had a few different blockchain partners. None of them were fit for purpose. And it's going to be launching on Polkadot in just a few weeks.
Basically, any project which is, we call that prime time ready.
Yeah.
So which has something that actually can be used, and they're working, and those guys, they are number one on the list for actually bringing them together. Of course, we're also going to talk with the Web3 Foundation. We're also going to talk with Parity. We're also going to talk with the other DF-funded institutions which are now coming up, which, for example, do implementation work, because you do need to do implementation work. There's sometimes fantastic projects which do not have anything like project management or development capacity. So this is really cool that we have Gautam there now. And we need the same thing also for user interfaces, and we need the same thing for application development. And we're looking how these things now grow, and then we put them together and present them as a bundle to the customers.
Brilliant. And what exactly was your agreement with the Web3 Foundation? Because they kind of have short terms, right? It was like a 1-year agreement, and then you're on your own.
Well, we didn't start in January or something. We just started right now, right? And now we have 1 year to present a couple of leads and to bring them forward, and then we'll see how it goes from there. So I totally agree with the idea of not funding things for the next 5 years, to be honest. So if we don't manage anything in 1 year, then we're probably not good. So we should bring something which we can talk about within this year. And if, for example, this thing where you're just going, and also a couple of other things which are boiling up, if they work, I'm pretty sure that this thing is going to be rather bigger than smaller 1 year later, because people see that it's working. And I think it's really important to get into these things. So not only Middle East, but also government as a whole. If you look at South America, for example, they are currently totally on Hyperledger, which is not the best idea, actually. We're seeing things in Asia, like when you talk about the Mandala project, where governments are actually really interested in getting into Polkadot technology. So if we bring these things up, they have a huge impact, because every government looks at the other governments. And if you bring enterprise, we saw that with the Deloitte, which Kilt brought in. Having Deloitte is a huge asset, actually, because the other consulting companies then see, okay, the big ones already do that, so it's
Sure.
apparently not totally wrong, and there's no risk in that. So, and these things will have a lot of effects, not only in marketing and saying, hey, Polkadot is great, but in actually other companies starting to be interested in us. And I think that is, and other governments being interested in us. And that is very, very important for the growth of the network as a whole.
As far as target audience end users go, is the play really to serve big industry without kind of these retail end users? We're really focusing on putting real operating businesses on chain?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
The long road, but the successful road is to find multipliers. And if your customer is a multiplier, then you're doing good.
Right.
Yeah, this is what we try. So we try with the big ones, so that because they already have there's millions of customers, and if they are then onboarded to a Polkadot network, well, then we have
Easy.
onboarded millions of people.
Yeah, awesome. Can you guys talk, you don't want to be specific at all here on this podcast, that's fine, but can you talk more generally some industry that you're talking to get our imaginations going on what kind of projects could be on Polkadot?
Yeah, I mean, healthcare is a top one.
Huge.
With a very interesting lead right now. It's still in very early stage.
Energy is
There's
something
another
where we already have something to show, right? We have
Sure.
the Energy Web, we
Yeah.
have the DENA project from Kilt, so we already have experience there, so we already also know people, and we can spread this a little bit better.
Very nice.
And the one I'll be speaking to shortly needs a bunch of different things, right? So they need an identity solution, they need a marketplace solution,
Okay.
they need an engagement solution, even a phygital type of solution. So,
Wow.
so that would be a bunch of components from the Polkadot ecosystem. And I can imagine that there will be just onboarding for Polkadot as well. So a new, well, it was still called Parachains. So
I'm not
let's say
sure.
that, right? No, for now. But a team, a company that would want to launch their own parachain that don't use any existing, but want to build their own.
Wow.
I can see that as well.
So what do we see as the biggest barriers and obstacles to success here? What's the biggest missing piece?
From what I see so far, actually, it is manpower, probably. So
Yeah.
I'm afraid
Talent.
of manpower.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
afraid of big projects coming in and Polkadot not being able to deliver because we don't have enough people doing the actual work.
Yeah.
And this is why we are looking left and right now for teams which are which we can onboard in case something comes, and that is going quite well. So I think with Mythical and the guys around Gotham, you already made very good experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is a very, very important step. But as I said, we have to do this for applications as well. And we're working on that. We're trying to motivate people to come into the Polkadot ecosystem, to try, play with the stuff, or build their team bigger in case these things come in.
Gotcha.
And we basically need the network. So the network needs to be aware that we exist. I talked with one of the parachain teams. They're even changing their direction now or their strategy a little bit more. They were only focused on building the infrastructure and nothing else. And they now understood, wow, there's projects actually coming in, and we need a project team, and they're building up this project team. We need this. And this is what happens through conversations. And we try to have a lot of conversations here in Brussels in the next
brilliant.
couple of days.
Mark, did you have a different idea of an obstacle that you see ahead to overcome?
Yeah, let's face it, blockchain itself has not been ready for prime time for mass adoption. And is it now? Well, I think it's closer,
Sure.
and especially Polkadot itself is way more performant. But will it be able to handle tens of millions of transactions in a short period of time? We'll see. I think so. But I think first you have to get the large entities to come in and to start.
Sure.
And that's one of the things that I think might be difficult.
So we have Europe, Middle East. Any other BD units that you're aware of that you want to be working with?
Yeah, so what we'd like to do is coordinate with everybody.
Yeah.
And not that we do the coordination. So there's an ambassador, a new head ambassador that wants to take up the mantle of coordinating amongst the different BD.
Okay.
And I think that is something that would be welcomed so that we don't cross streams, so to speak. I think the opportunity is so big that likelihood is low. But if we could also refer things to each other and learn from each other, just have an active conversation with everybody. So that's not in place yet. Hopefully that's one of the things that'll come out of tonight's event.
Okay. And can you name these other BD teams that are active?
So, for example, we have Polkadot East.
Polkadot,
That is very much in a different region, right? Which is also interesting. Then we have in South America, we have the people from, I don't know the exact name, but it's Polkadot Brazil, I think, or Polkadot Brazil
the
BD.
Brazilian unit, yeah.
So they are doing great stuff. Then, of course, we have the Business Development Bounty, which is more like a retroactive funding for doing great business development things.
This is quite new, right? They're just getting going.
They're
BD
just
Bounty,
getting going.
Yeah.
And we have Transistor in the US.
Transistor.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've signed yet, but I've heard they have a positive outcome. I hope to see them
Sure, of course.
here as well.
Yeah.
And there's probably a lot more, so we have to pick them up.
You're going to meet them all and get them all together.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Final question. People who are watching this episode, I'm sure they have a whole spectrum of talent. How can they put themselves out there and help with this BD initiative?
Yeah, please reach out to us. So we do have a website. It's called PoKe.business. So you find us there. There's also a contact email address, so you will reach us directly. We're not a huge team. We don't have any structures or something. We're just 6-7 people doing things, right? Yeah. And so we really. Yeah, so it's really easy to reach out to us. It would be really interesting if someone has ideas or has products that they want to, which are hopefully in the Polkadot ecosystem, which they want to bring to us. And that is, I think, they bring our attention on things. The Polkadot ecosystem is big enough so we don't know everything, right? We don't know every development which is happening. So it's really important to keep us up to date so that we know what to present to potential customers. That is the most important thing. So that would be very nice, and it's also nice if people are doing things like business development right now, and they need support to be more successful. We can support not only with PoKe, but there's also this business development bounty, which if you are having contacts to someone who's to some big enterprise or government and so on, and you need to be pushed over the line, we're going to very much help push over the line then.
So right now, phone lines are open. Come on, tell us what you're doing, and we'll get everybody sorted. That's the idea.
Absolutely.
Guys, thanks for doing this work. It's going to be really interesting to touch base in about a year from now and see where we're at. Guys, thanks for coming on the show, okay? We'll catch up soon. Thanks.